Pearl Abyss invited us to an early look and hands-on session with their newest game, Crimson Desert, at Summer Game Fest Playdays, and the demo wasted no time flexing the publisher's new BlackSpace Engine. Snow-topped cliffs glowed under shifting clouds, cannon smoke rolled over clashing NPCs, and even the wind's strength affected the way the grass and trees swayed. The studio's tech pedigree is obvious, yet after nearly 30 minutes of playing, I walked away wondering whether the spectacle can anchor itself to something deeper than "look what we can render." The session dropped me into a mid-game chapter as Cliff, captain of the Greymanes, sprinting across a war-torn field outside Calfade. On paper, the setup is clean enough. Cliff's squad has been scattered by the drunken Black Bears, and a former ally named Cassius Morton now leads those raiders against Calfade's Marquis Stefan Lanford. That backdrop justified a roaring set-piece battle, with dozens of AI soldiers clanking swords while bombardments rattled the ground. The audio mix deserves praise. Distant cannon booms blended with panicked shouts so naturally that I sometimes spun in place just to locate the nearest threat. Yet for all that immersion, motivation stayed hazy. Story beats arrived through lavish cutscenes. Pearl Abyss loves its real-time cinematics, but once control returned, I rarely felt the stakes those scenarios implied. Demo's objective list boiled down to push this front, break that barricade, and fire that cannon, without much room to understand why these pieces mattered beyond forward momentum. A representative noted that the larger narrative context sits outside this slice, which is fair, but I still left craving even a breadcrumb of character interplay during gameplay. If narrative remained vague, combat proved anything but shallow. Cliff keeps a standard light-heavy dodge core, yet each weapon category layers on stance shifts, air juggles, grapples, and contextual finishers. In practice, every brawl felt like a playground of animation chains. I could pop an enemy skyward with a two-hander's rising slash, hook myself upward with a grapple arrow, then drive a plunge attack into the ground for area damage. A quick tap flipped Cliff's stance into dual daggers, getting reach for rapid bleed procs, and a stamina-free parry rewarded me with a brutal counter that sent shields flying. Depth is clear, but so is overload. During larger skirmishes, I triggered spectacular flourishes without fully grasping the inputs that caused them, leaving combat feeling more reactive than intentional. It was fun, almost impossibly flashy, but I never knew if I was improving or simply pressing buttons at the right tempo. Pearl Abyss staff hinted at an advanced training arena in the full game that may prove essential for players who want to master systems rather than sample them. Outside battle, Cliff's toolkit mirrors Pearl Abyss's playground design. A mid-air glide gives you time to consider your next move, while the grapple arrow yanks our hero toward distant ledges or hanging chains. Both skills recharge quickly, so movement flows rather than stalls, encouraging experimentation with vertical shortcuts. At one point, I bypassed a burning choke point entirely by grappling up a ruined tower, gliding across a gap, and dropping behind enemy lines for a stealth takedown. The freedom impressed me more than any particle effect. If the full map rewards creative routes instead of funneling players back to main roads, exploration could rival combat as the headline attraction. That brings me to the underlying tension. Crimson Desert currently feels like a sandbox handcrafted to showcase engine wizardry, with world design and story still catching up. The BlackSpace Engine nails reflective puddles, volumetric fog, and real-time day-night transitions, but those marvels risk becoming background noise if players can't anchor them to characters they care about. Pearl Abyss's own Black Desert leaned heavily on systems over narrative, and while that MMO still thrives, its time investment and lore fragmentation remain divisive. Crimson Desert could inherit the same double-edged sword unless its questlines offer more than context-free fireworks. To be clear, I enjoyed my time in Pywell. The tactile crunch of sword on shield, the way wildfire spread through dry grass, and the moment I parried a mace then hurled its owner into a ballista made me grin like a caffeinated squire. I simply wish the demo had paused to explain who Cliff really is beyond brooding knight looking for scattered friends. Companions like Unka and Barden Midler flashed personality in cutscenes, but never rejoined me on the battlefield, leaving their relationships to Cliff mostly implied. Pearl Abyss plans worldwide demos ahead of the late 2025 launch on Steam, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and Mac, and more time could reveal connective tissue between the eye candy and the lore. The studio also promised deeper skill trees and equipment crafting, hinting that Cliff's move list will grow complex enough to satisfy players hungry for long-term mastery. If those progression hooks pair with a story worth caring about, Crimson Desert might justify the dozens of hours it will surely demand. For now, my takeaway sits squarely between admiration and concern. The demo was gorgeous and mechanically dense, but it felt like slicing through a postcard. Lovely to look at, quick to crumple. Still, I can't shake the excitement of chaining a grapple swing into a midair parry before gliding over exploding trebuchets. I just hope that by the next preview, Perlibus brings stronger narrative weight to match its technical bravado, giving all that cool stuff a reason to exist beyond the showcase floor. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth, and subscribe to keep up with all of our future content.
Noisy Pixel.